Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of On Campus. I'm Sheena from thesportsreportgirl.com here with my weekly review of the top stories from the college gridiron. So, the big story last week was that both Tim Tebow and Sam Bradford returned from their injuries. Tebow played, as I think we all knew he would, after suffering a severe concussion 2 weeks earlier against Kentucky. Considering how conservative their offensive game plan was, he looked pretty good. But this game was not about offense. It was all about defense. And two great ones went at it last Saturday night. Not the sexiest style of football, but a winning style at that. With their biggest test now out of the way, look for the Gators to roll straight through to the SEC championship game in December. As for Bradford, he came back from his shoulder injury and looked pretty sharp despite his receivers having a case of the dropsies. Unfortunately, Ryan Broyles and Jermaine Gresham are out, leaving the Sooners with an inexperienced receiving corps, which likely means more dropped passes. As for Texas, they haven't had a game against a quality opponent where they put it all together from beginning to end. Also, they are looking a little thin at the running back position. Without Oklahoma's numerous injuries, they would likely be undefeated, and this would be one of the biggest games of the entire season. As is, it's still a huge rivalry, but look for Texas to have just enough to prevail, keeping their hopes alive for a spot in the BCS title game. And if things weren't bad enough, they just got a little worse for Bobby Bowden as the Seminoles lost their third straight game and fourth overall. Despite all the losses, Bobby's team has been involved in some really exciting games this year. Still, ending up on the losing side of exciting games week after week gets a little old, as would this.
Well, it's kind of like we don't know who to tackle.
If my team were coached by Foghorn Leghorn, I'd want to change as well. All kidding aside, there is no guarantee Bobby will be back if they can't at least salvage a winning season. Obviously, the Red River Shootout will be garnering a lot of attention Saturday, but here are some of the other big games I'll be keeping my eyes on. Like Iowa at Wisconsin. Had the Badgers not turned the ball over so many times last week, they may still be undefeated, and this would be a bigger deal than it already is. Should Iowa win, they will remain the team to beat in the Big Ten, but if they lose, that opens the door again for the Buckeyes and Nittany Lions. Also, USC travels to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. For the Irish to have any chance, Jimmy Clausen and Golden Boy Tate will have to find their rhythm early and often. But with the prior week off, Matt Barkley will be healthy enough to lead the Trojan offense to victory. Another great one should be the Battle of the Techs when Virginia Tech takes on Georgia Tech in Atlanta. The edge clearly goes to Va-Tech due to their defense and the play of Tyrod Taylor. But don't forget about what old Bobby had to say about that triple option.
It's kind of like we don't know who to tackle.
And finally, we have South Carolina taking on Alabama. The Tide sure don't play fancy or flashy football. They just beat you down with their smothering defense and a crushing running game. Spurrier will have his cocks out and ready to fight, but clearly the Tide will roll. Okay, guys, that is it for this week, but be sure to check out my daily rants at thesportsreportgirl.com and truefan.com. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter. See you next week. Bye-bye.